Oh, hi. Hi, everyone. How are you today? Happy Thanksgiving. Happy late Thanksgiving. How were your Thanksgivings? Whoa, there's a lot of stuff on the chat right now. Hey, Uma Paran. How's it going? If that's how you say your name. Hey, Patrick. What's up, Nikki? Gabriel. How's it going? Gabriel says, I would love to hear your thoughts on the characters, especially how so far in the story all the evils have been committed by those things that are on the righteous side of martial arts. Yeah, okay. Hmm, that's a good topic. So I will say that this book, the author's uh, intention with this book is to subvert a lot of the tropes that have to do with heroism and good guys and bad guys, like the good side and evil side. So he does do that, right? And you will see that in the story. You have the righteous side and then the what I guess you would call them the evil side or the orthodox side and the unorthodox side. And you will find that there are people on the orthodox side who are not that good, and people on the unorthodox side who are actually really good, right? So he likes to subvert those tropes. So far, I think you're right. That a lot of the bad stuff have been have been done by the people on the righteous side. But that could be because we are following characters who are on the righteous side. So they're interacting with other characters who are on the righteous side. We haven't really seen, we haven't really delved into the people on the evil side yet, right? Because all of our interactions, or most of our interactions up till now, have been people on the righteous side, with people on the righteous side. Yeah, so a good example would be Tianpo Guang. He seems to be a likable character, right? Yeah, he seems to be honorable and he doesn't lie and stuff like that. But he is a rapist. Like he has done some pretty heinous things in the past, so it's pretty gray. Do, 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 do. Freddy says, I feel like the good side of the swordsman world are a bunch of aristocrats. And maybe the bad side could be actually the good people. What's up, Hope? How's it going? Hey, Katie. We need more chopping. Where are the fairies? Yeah, where are the fairies? Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. I had a really good Thanksgiving. It was, like I said last time, it was small. We usually have a gigantic group. It's of like my family's really big, so we have like a group of like 20, 30 something people in the same house. Is it 30? It might be 20 something. So it's usually really big every year. This year it was very small. It was just me and my parents and my brother, which is fine. Which is fine. Not as loud and boisterous, but we did have turkey. And my mom made turkey with stuffing. She doesn't do that often because she's a really good cook with regards to Asian food, like Vietnamese food. But she's she's putting her feet in. What's the she's stepping into the world of American food or Western style food or non-Vietnamese food. So her turkey was pretty good. No possum for this Thanksgiving. Nope, Nikki. You're wondering if the video feed isn't up to speed. The chat is like 15 seconds delayed for me. So maybe that's what you're thinking about. Plus the demon cult of Grandpa and Fei Fei sounded like really awesome characters. Yeah, I like them too. Too bad Fei Fei died. So sad. Can you do a video about what Japanese royals would eat as a feast back then? I think I've done some research on that in the past. I'll look into it some more. I don't think I found much, but we'll see. What's up, Willa? Is it delayed? Yeah, I told you, right? It's like 15 seconds delay. All right. I do have some food. I do have another P-Joy. This is cookies and cream. Vanilla cream-filled chocolate biscuit sticks. Let's eat this before we start. Devil Emperor, you just joined my Discord? Awesome. Welcome. Mega kick. You didn't know that some Pokemon were based off of yokai before? Yeah. There's probably, yeah. There's a lot of yokai references, obviously, in anime and stuff. Is it bigger than Pocky? I think it's the same as Pocky, actually. Cookies and cream. Here you go. Is Pocky a little bit smaller? Because these are on the inside, actually. It's a cream filling on the inside. So it's a little thicker than Pocky's. Because Pocky, the flavoring is on the outside. Pretty good. Pretty good. A little bit too sweet for my tastes. I like it a bit less sweet. P-Joy should sponsor me. Come on, guys. P-Joy. I've been eating your shit for like a couple of streams now. Come on, guys. Oh, I did make I made chocolate chip cookies with dark chocolate. Yeah, for the Thanksgiving. It was pretty good. It's really good. I made it really puffy. So it's like this fat. Do you guys like chocolate or dark chocolate? I really like dark chocolate. And around 60% cocoa would be good. It's perfect. Do a baking stream? Yeah, you don't want to see that. I'm a mess. I'll mess everything up. Gabriel, you're gonna send me a Big Mac? Hey, yeah, go for it. Go for it. Send it to my address. I'll eat it on stream. I'll eat your week-old Big Mac on stream. You were a baker, Bigfoot. That's awesome. All right, kids. Let's do a recap of what happened last week. All right, so last week we find out that Lu Dayo died, which is really sad. Which is really, really sad. Let's do. I think I have a bell. Moment of silence for Lu Dayo, who's Ling Hu Chong's friend, right? His best friend in the school, and he died remember, Ling Hucheng sealed his pressure point, so he was frozen he should have been frozen for a couple of hours, and Ling Hucheng went out on his adventures, and we come back and we find out that Lu Dayo dies. Right, he's dead. He's laying there dead, and the book, his master's book, his Violet Twilight manuscript, his booklet, is also gone. All right, and Ling Hucheng, so he comes to the conclusion that he killed his friend, right? Because when he sealed the guy's pressure point, he believes that all of the energy streams that was within his body was so chaotic that it caused the sealing to be too harsh, right? It was too hard, and he killed his friend. All right, he fingered him way too hard, and he died. So Ling Hucheng tries to kill himself, but then the master stops him, and the master is like, "Hey, can't kill yourself right now. You gotta find my book, right?" So Ling Hucheng, he vows to find his master's booklet, and then he vows to kill anyone who has read the booklet, and then he would kill himself. Okay, that's his plan. Yeah. So the group, the Huashan Schools' group, moves on. Remember, they're on their way to the Mount Songshan to talk to the leader of the Five Mountains Alliance. So the group I think it starts to rain, and then the group takes shelter in a monastery, in an abandoned monastery. And while they're there, 15 men in the night come in to attack them. Okay, these 15 men, they want them to hand over the evil resisting sword art manuscript. All right, and this is a different booklet. Okay, this is a booklet of really powerful martial arts that belongs to the Lin family. Okay, Lin Pingzhi's family that we saw in the very, very beginning of the story. And they want to see the book because they believe that the master stole the book. Right? Well, the master, they believe that the master's big plan was to get Lin Pingzhi into the school, right? To invite him into the school, make him a student, so that he can steal the that evil resisting sword art manuscript from Lin Pingzhi's family. Now we know that they don't have the booklet. Okay, they don't have the booklet right now. So, but these 15 masked men think that they do have the booklet, so they attack, and they actually made short work of the entire Huashan school, except for the master, which they had trouble with. Okay, because the master is like a badass. He's pretty well known in the world. Okay, he's not someone to be trifled with. But they finally take him down. It takes a lot of people, but they take down the master. And throughout the entire fight, Ling Hucheng is useless. He's useless because he couldn't summon up any of his chi, because he had those 6 energy streams in him, and then he had 2 additional ones that came from that monk no commandment. So his body's all chaotic, and whenever he tries to summon up his chi, he gets hurt. He gets paralyzed. He gets like nauseous, so he can't do it. Okay, so he has no chi left. So these 15 masked men, they're taunting the Huashan students and people, and then they kill one of the apprentices. Okay. So while they're doing this, another group comes. Okay. This group, we find out, are people from the Songshan school and the Huashan sword branch. Okay. Now these people were people who came to the school before, and they wanted to take over the school. Now they're there. This is a different group from the 15 masked men, but we find out that they're not actually the rescuers. They're not going to rescue. They want to take over the school. So the sword branch, one of the sword branch guys challenges the master wife. Okay, and then they fight, and then he's really good. So so the master wife is losing, and the master wife is also injured. So she's not doing well. And then Ling Hucheng jumps in, and then he uses, even though he can't summon up his chi, he remembers that he has he has learned the Dugu Nine swords um, from Feng Qingyang, who taught him in the cave that he was in a long time ago. So he uses his Dugu Nine swords, which doesn't require any chi. Because turns out the master Feng Qingyang was part of the sword branch of the school. Remember, Ling Huchang is supposed to be part of the chi branch of the Huashan school. Okay, and those two branches are at odds with each other. So, but he learned the Dugu Nine Swords, which is a sword branch martial arts, and he attacks this guy from the sword branch, and he wins. Okay, he's kicking his ass. Even the sword branch leader jumps in, and Ling Huchong kicks his ass too. So he's doing really well. He's like a master now. Okay, he's master level. He has master level kung fu now. He kicks his ass. The sword branch leader admits defeat, and he leaves. And then a new group that came, they all leave. Okay, because they realize they can't beat this guy, and they realize they just lost. The sword branch leader just lost, so they can't really take over the school, and they all leave. But the 15 masked men are still there. Now, the 15 masked men, they're like, well, we got to kill this guy, right? He's trouble. So even though it's dishonorable for 15 men to attack one man, they realize he's too powerful and they start attacking him. But Ling Huchang uses another move from the Dugu Nine Swords that he learned called the missile breaking stance, which is supposed to block and attack. They call it missiles, but like, what do you call it? Like throwing weapons, throwing knives or nails or whatever you can throw. People throw needles too, or arrows. So he uses that to blind all of the guys' eyes. All 15 pairs of eyes, he blinded them all, and they're like they don't know what to do. They're like fumbling around. They're all blind. But Ling Huchong is hurt, so he can't really do anything else, right? So these 15 guys, they finally get their shit together, and then they run away. Okay, they run away in single file, like each person holding the shoulder of the next person. They run away. He couldn't do anything, so he couldn't pursue, and that's it. So he basically saved the entire school all by himself, without using any chi. And that's the recap. How's that? Do. Freddie, your girlfriend and you want to start making baking videos on YouTube? Yeah, do it. Make those baking videos. Teach me. I need to learn. Dun, 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 dun. Sounds like I'm explaining Naruto. It does sound like an anime. Yeah, kung fu doesn't really work in real life. I did learn kung fu when I was young. I was at a taekwondo school, but they also taught kung fu. So I know some kung fu. Yeah, it doesn't work in real life. Sorry guys. It looks really good though. Dun, 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 dun. Projectiles. There you go. Projectiles. I said throwing weapons. That works too, I think. He needs to convince the fairies to dispel each of their energy streams from within him. Yeah, but I don't think he can do that. The fairies can. I don't think the fairies can take out their energy from his body. All right, shall we start? All right, let's begin. I don't know if this chapter is as long as the last one. A lot of shit happened in the last one. Alright, chapter 13, Learning Music, part 1. The night was quiet now. The only noise came from the heavy breathing of the many Huashan apprentices. Hero Ling Hu, aren't you going to release my pressure points? Or are you going to beg us? Or are you waiting for us to beg you? Yue Buchun suddenly broke the silence in a chilling tone. No, his master is mad. Ling Huchong was stunned. Master, why are you kidding me like that? I'll help release your pressure points right away. His voice trembled. Getting back on his feet, after some hard struggles, he staggered by Yue Buchun. Master, which pressure points? He asked. Yue Buchun was furious. He remembered how Ling Huchong had put on the act of stabbing himself on Mount Huashan, not wanting to kill Tian Boguang. Then, of course, it was just the same kind of act Ling Huchong was playing right now. This way, he could let the 15 masked men escape by intentionally not releasing his master's sealed pressure points for a delay. Afraid that his master would chase after those masked villains. At that thought, he yelled angrily, "Save your breath!" So his master believes that he doesn't want to... He wanted to let the 15 men escape, right? Just like he didn't kill Tian Boguang before. He continued working on gathering his inner energy, using the divine arts of Violet Twilight in an effort to break open the sealed points. Ever since the enemy had sealed his pressure points, he had been trying to break them open, using his strong inner energy. Right, because the master has practiced this Violet Twilight martial arts, he has really strong chi. But the one who had sealed his points did it with a tremendous amount of force. And in addition, among the sealed points were Yuzhen, Tanzhong, Zhu, and Jitang, those major pressure points. When he sent his inner energy flowing through his inner channels and passages, the flow was somewhat blocked in those major points, which greatly reduced the power of the divine art of Violet Twilight and made it very hard to break them open. Ling Huchong wanted to help his master in releasing the sealed pressure points, but he simply didn't have any strength left in him. Again and again, he struggled to raise his arm, but every time the efforts only made him feel sick, while seeing golden flickers circling in front of his eyes and hearing loud buzzing sound in his ear. So all he could do was to lie next to Yue Buchun and wait for his master to release his pressure points with his own efforts. Okay, our hero is not feeling very well, guys. Madame Yue also lay on the ground, facing down. Earlier, in the state of fury, she had accidentally misdirected her inner energy. As a result, not only couldn't she gather her strength at all, she couldn't even lift her hand up to cover the wounds on her legs. It was already daybreak by now, and the rain had finally stopped. People's faces became clearer and clearer in the dim light of dawn. A white and thick mist appeared on Yue Buchun's head, as he worked hard on breaking his sealed pressure points open. His face almost turned completely purple. Suddenly, he uttered a loud roar as his inner energy finally broke through all his sealed pressure points and began circulating around his body. So his master unsealed all his points by himself. Leaping back onto his feet, he circled around all of the Huashan apprentices, patting and smacking on some of them while poking and pinching some others. Within moments, he had opened all the sealed pressure points for everyone. Then, sitting by Madame Yue, he started sending his inner energy into Madame Yue through her pressure points to help her redirect her own energy flow. Meanwhile, Yue Lingshan rushed forward, hurriedly, and started tending the wounds on her mother's legs. Thinking back about how narrowly everyone had escaped death the nights before, all the apprentices shivered in their hearts, feeling as if they were given a new life, and the heartbreaking scene of the beheaded Liang Fa's corpse only brought down more tears from the many Huashan apprentices. Several female apprentices burst into loud cries. So Liang Fa was the one that the 15 men killed. The same thought floated in everyone's mind. Fortunately, Big Apprentice Brother defeated the bunch of villains, or else it would be dreadful to even contemplate. Hey, Barbara. Yes, I am a he. You can call me a he. Hello, welcome. There's a very famous kung fu stance called Drunken Fists. Maybe Ling Hu could create drunken swords. That would be pretty cool. Seeing that Ling Hu Chong was still lying in a puddle of mud, Gao Genming strode by him and prodded him up. Chong, where are those 15 masked men from? Yue Buchun asked dryly. I don't know, master, Ling Hu Chong muttered. You do know them, right? Are they your friends? Yue Buchun asked again. I've never met any of them before last night, Ling Hu Chong gasped in astonishment. The master is very suspicious. If so, when I told you to keep them here, so we could interrogate them later, why did you ignore my order? I was too exhausted and couldn't gather any strength. Even now, his body wobbled. It looked as if just to remain standing up was already a tough task for him. What a fine act, Yue Buchun snorted. Sweat streamed down from Ling Hu Chong's forehead. He bent his knees and knelt down on the ground. I was an orphan when I was young, and thanks to the immense kindness of master and master wife, you took me under your wings and treated me like your own son. I am indeed an unworthy apprentice, but I would never dare disobey my master's orders or deceive master and master wife intentionally. You dare not to deceive me and your master wife? Huh. Then where did you learn those sword arts of yours? Don't tell me that a spirit just fell out of the sky and taught you those in your dreams, Yue Buchun scoffed. I beg for your forgiveness, master. The senior master who taught me the sword arts specifically asked me to promise that I would keep his name a secret and never tell anyone about the origin of the sword art, not even my master and master wife. Ling Hu Chong explained hurriedly, bumping his head into the floor again and again toward his master. That's of course, Yue Buchun sneered. With such superb kung fu, it's only natural that you think nothing of your master and master wife. How would the little bit of kung fu from our Huashan sword school ever stand a chance against a blow from your super sword? Super sword? Didn't that old man in the mask mention it? You should have been the headmaster of the Huashan sword school all along. Daring not to reply, Ling Hu Chong kept kowtowing as many thoughts flashed inside his head. If I don't tell them how Grand Uncle Master Feng taught me the sword arts, Master and Master Wife would certainly not forgive me. But a true man must keep his own words. Even Tianbo Guang, an evil rapist, didn't let out anything about Grand Uncle Master Feng when the Peach Valley Six Fairies performed the much torturing and torments on him. I owe Grand Uncle Master a great debt of gratitude. I will not let him down. My loyalty towards Master and Master Wife is true, and heaven can be my witness. Being wronged like this temporarily is really no big deal. Oh, you want me to tell you the story? Oh, I can, because this is the 24th episode. Yeah, the story it's an ongoing story. So if you want to know the story, then you gotta go back to chapter 1. A lot has happened. Yeah. So if you're just joining us in the middle, yeah, I think you wouldn't know what is happening. Master Feng may be a ghost. Do you think he imagined all of that? and he just came up with this cool sword kung fu all by himself. That'd be funny. Fine. You can get up and oh wait, that's not where we are. Master wife, Ling Huchang said. It's not that I am so bold as to disobey master's orders. There are really some unspeakable causes here. Please allow me to beg that senior master and ask for his permission so I can tell master and master wife everything in a later date. By then I would not dare to keep any detail to myself. Fine, you can get up now, Yue Buchun replied. Ling Hucheng kowtowed to his master again before standing up. Suddenly, both of his knees gave out on him and he fell back to the kneeling position. Lin Pingzhi happened to be standing next to Ling Hucheng. Reaching his arm out, he propped Ling Hucheng up. Your sword skills are excellent, and your acting skills are even better. Ooh, that hurts. Yue Buchun said with a sneer. Afraid to say another word, Ling Hucheng kept his silence. I can never say enough about my gratitude to master, he thought aloud. Even though he wronged me this time, one day, the truth will eventually come to light. This whole thing is so very odd. I really can't blame the respectful master for feeling suspicious. Though he had been wronged, he really had no resentments. Madame Yue's voice rose in a warm tone. If it weren't for Chong's ingenious sword arts... How do I do the female voice again? Madame Yue is like, how old is she? In her 50s, probably? If it weren't for Chong's ingenious sword arts, not only would the entire Huashan sword school be wiped out, perhaps all the female apprentices would have suffered tremendous humiliation. Regardless of who that senior master is, because he taught Chong the sword arts, we have benefited from his grace a great deal. And regarding the origin of those 15 villains, I am sure we'll find that out one day. How could they have been Chong's friends? Weren't they going to slice Chong's into shreds? Didn't Chong blind all of them with his stabs? She's kind of sounding like a witch now. Didn't Chong blind all of them with his stabs? His head held high, Yue Buchun seemed to have fallen into a daze and didn't hear a single word from Madame Yue. The many apprentices soon found themselves busy with different things. Yeah, right? They can't be his friends because he wouldn't blind all of them. Why would you? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Oh my god, the chat thinks that his master who taught him the Dugu 9 swords is a ghost. Willa says, could be. Master Feng never touched anything other than that fight with Ling Hu. And Bo. No one else saw him. Oh, wait, but Tian Bo Guang also saw him. So you think he's like a ghost? I guess most people can see ghosts. That's true. The many apprentices soon found themselves busy with the different things. Some started a fire and worked on preparing breakfast. Some dug a grave and buried Liang Fa. After breakfast, everyone changed into dry clothes from their packs. All the apprentices stared at Yue Buchun and waited for his command. Are we still going to Mount Songshan to have it out with Chief Zhuo? They all thought. Wait, that is not. I thought Yue Buchun was talking. Since Fang Buping has lost to apprentice brother in the sword contest, he would be too embarrassed to fight for the Huashan Sword School headmaster post again. Junior apprentice sister, where do you think we should go? Yue Buchun asked Madame Yue. There's no need to go to Mount Songshan now. But since we are already far from Mount Huashan, there's no need to go back in any hurry either, Madame Yue remarked. She was so afraid of the Peach Valley 6 fairies that dared not to go right back so soon. In any case, since we have some time now, I think it's a good idea to travel around a bit and see the world. It would generate a good experience for all the apprentices, Yue Buchun replied. Yue Lingshan was overjoyed. Wonderful, Daddy. She clapped her hands, but she suddenly remembered that it would be very inappropriate to look so happy when her senior apprentice brother, Liang Fa, had just been killed. She halted abruptly, only after one clap. Look how excited you get every time when I mention the word travel. All right, we'll let you have the fun. Lingshan, where would you like to go visit? Yue Buchun asked with a smile, looking toward Lin Pingzhi as he spoke. Daddy, if we are going to have fun, we might as well have some big fun. I say the further we go, the better. It would be really disappointing if we head back after only 100 miles out or so. Why don't we go visit little Lin's hometown? Second apprentice brother and I have been to Fuzhou before, but too bad that I had to disguise myself into an ugly girl and didn't get to walk around much. I didn't see Jack. The longan fruits in Fujian are so big and yummy, and there are also oranges, banyan trees, and narcissus flowers. Madame Yue shook her head. Fujian province is thousands of miles away from here. We don't have that kind of money to travel. Unless Huashan School turns into the Beggars Clan, and we can just all beg our way through. Master wife, we are only a couple of days' trip away from Henan province. My grandparents live in Luoyang, Lin Pingzhi said. Oh, that's right. Your grandfather, Wang Yuanba, the unbeatable golden blade, lives in Luoyang, Madame Yue responded. Both of my parents have passed away. I would love to go visit my grandpa and grandma, so they could get the details on my parents' death. I am certain that my grandpa and grandma would be honored to have master wife, and apprentice brothers and sisters as their guests and spend some time there. Then after that, we can take our time on our tour and visit my hometown in Fujian. I was able to seize a good amount of gold and jewels back from the Qincheng Sword School at the Changsha branch of the escort house, so please don't worry about the traveling expenses, Lin Pingzhi replied. Can I do the nanny laugh too? What is the nanny laugh? Oh, wait, Losh. How old is the master wife? I thought she was like 50. Maybe she's in her 40s. Was that voice too old? Ever since Madame Yue stabbed the fruit fairy, she had been in a constant state of worry. It was all still so clear in her memory how 4 of the fairies had grabbed her arms and legs and lifted her off the ground. Every time she thought of it, she would freeze with terror. And then the horrifying scene of Chambuyo's death, with blood and internal organs splashing everywhere as he was torn into 4 pieces, would follow, driving her crazy with fear. Horrifying nightmares had been haunting her for many nights. She knew clearly that they were really fleeing from a calamity under the name of going to Mount Songshan to reason with the Songshan Sword School. Yeah, remember, their secret reason for leaving is to run away. So that they were scared of the Peach Valley 6 fairies. They were scared that they were going to come back to the school and kill everyone. So under the guise of going to Mount Songshan to talk with the leader of the 5 Mountains Alliance, they're actually escaping. They're actually running away from the Peach Valley 6 fairies. Seeing that Lin Pingzhi had invited everyone to visit Fujian after her husband gave him a chance, she figured that the further they could flee, the better. Besides, her husband and herself had never visited the south part of the country before, so it didn't sound like a bad idea to check it out at all. With these thoughts in her mind, she spoke with a smile. Senior apprentice brother, little Lin is offering free food and lodging. Care to take advantage of him? Pingzhi's grandfather, unbeatable golden blade, enjoys great fame in the central region. I've been looking forward to meeting him someday, but unfortunately never had the chance. Fujian in Fujian province is where the southern Shaolin temple resides. It couldn't have lacked reputable masters. Masters, let's pay a visit to Luoyang in Fujian province. It would certainly be a worthwhile trip if we are to. It would certainly be a worthwhile trip if we are lucky to make some friends along the trip. Ye Buchun smiled. So they're going to Lin Pingzhi's grandfather's place. His name is Yuan Ba, and his title is the Unbeatable Golden Blade. He sounds like a big dude with gigantic blades. Hearing that the master had agreed to go on a trip to Fujian for fun, the many apprentices were all jubilant. Gazing at each other, Lin Pingzhi and Yue Lingshan found themselves wild with joy. Ling Huchang was the only one in low spirit. Of all the places, why did master and master wife pick Luoyang to visit apprentice brother Lin's grandpa in Fujian, which is thousands of miles away? Ling Huchang couldn't help but think, it is self-evident that they have decided to betroth little apprentice sister to apprentice brother Lin. They are going to Luoyang to visit the seniors of his family for an engagement. And when we get to Fujian, they probably hold the wedding ceremony right at the Lin family's house. I am only an orphan who has no parents nor relatives, while his family owned Fortune Prestige Escort House, which has so many branches in so many cities. How can I be any match for him? Apprentice brother Lin is going to Luoyang to visit his grandpa and grandma. When I follow him there, what would I have become? Okay, now he's afraid that they're gonna marry his little crush, his little apprentice sister, to Lin Pingzhi. He felt even more displeased, seeing how the apprentice brothers and sisters were all bursting with joy with no regard to the tragic death of Liang Fa. Maybe I should just leave quietly in the dark tonight after we settle in an inn, he thought aloud. How can I just follow everyone else? How can I just follow everyone else to enjoy apprentice brother Lin's free meals and spend his money and then put on an air of cheerfulness to congratulate little apprentice sister and him, wishing them to live happily ever after? The group of Huashan school hit the road again as Ling Huchang followed behind. Weak and exhausted, he walked slower, and soon he fell far behind everyone else. By noon, he decided to sit down on a big rock alongside the road to catch his breath. When he saw Lao Dunhua stride back in big steps. What should this guy's voice be? He's a little older. Big apprentice, brother. How do you feel? You must be tired. I'll wait for you, Lao Dunhua said. Oh, thanks, Ling Huchang replied. Master wife has hired a wagon for you in the town ahead. It should be coming any time now, Lao Dunhua mentioned. Warmth swelled in Ling Huchang's heart. Although master is suspicious of me, master wife is still treating me dearly, he thought to himself. Yeah, that's true. Lin Pingzhi is very handsome. Apparently, he looks just like a girl. I guess that's what they say. That's what handsome is now. He has a very soft and smooth face. Lin Pingzhi, I mean. So he's a pretty boy. So I guess all the girls would like him. Not long after, a mule-pulled wagon showed up. Ling Huchang entered the wagon and Lao Dunhua accompanied him by his side. That night, when they settled in an inn, Lao Dunhua shared the same room with him. And in the following 2 days, Lao Dunhua never even went out of his sight. Ling Huchang was quite grateful that a fellow apprentice brother was so kind to care for a wounded patient. When junior apprentice brother Lao joined our Huashan school, he had already received prior martial arts training. He is much older than I am, and wouldn't even spare much word with me during normal days. Who would have thought that he would treat me with so much caring after what happened to me? All the other apprentice brothers don't even dare to talk with me much after seeing the stern face Master has shown me. The old saying is so true. As distance will test a horse's endurance, so will time reveal a person's heart. At the third night, as Ling Huchong was resting in bed with his eyes shut, some kind of whisper suddenly caught his attention. It was little apprentice brother Shu Chi whispering at the door. Second apprentice brother, Master sent me to check with you if big apprentice brother has done anything unusual today. Hush, outside, Laudenois hushed hurriedly and whispered back. A cold shiver ran through Ling Huchong's heart. Just from these few words, he had realized what a tremendous suspicion Master actually had toward him. Master only sent Laudenois to secretly keep a watch on his every move. So looks like Laudenois wasn't being nice. He was just sent to spy on Ling Huchong. Shu walked away on tiptoes, and Laudenois walked by the bed slowly to check if Ling Huchong had already fallen asleep. Infuriated, Ling Huchong almost wanted to leap onto his feet right away and yell at him, but then he had a second thought. Why should I blame him? He really has nothing to do with this. He is only following Master's orders. Would he have dared to defy the Master? So he forced back his anger and pretended to have fallen asleep. Laudenois walked out of the room gingerly. Ling Huchong knew that he must have gone to the Master for a report. He couldn't help but sneer inwardly. Huh, I never did anything guilty. Even if you have 10 or 100 people watching every step of mine, days and nights, I am open and above board. What's there for me to be afraid of? Indignation filled his heart as he breathed wildly, and suddenly it triggered a slight inner energy flow inside him. Waves of energy streams swirled inside him and made him feel miserable. He held onto the headrest tightly and gasped loudly. Only after a long while, the nausea finally went away. He sat up, threw on some clothing, and started to put on his shoes, thinking, since Master is no longer treating me like an apprentice of his, and instead is on guard against me as if I am a thief, why should I even bother to stay in the Huashan sword school? Maybe it would be better if I simply leave and not worry about whether Master would ever understand me one day. Right at that moment, he heard more whispers from under the window on the outside. Stay down and don't move, a voice said. Sounds like big apprentice brother is getting off his bed, another voice replied. The two said those words in whisper, but because it was a silent night. Besides that, Ling Huchong had excellent hearing abilities. He was able to hear every single word clearly, and will also recognize that the words belonged to two young apprentice brothers of his. Apparently, they were hiding in the courtyard to guard the room in case Ling Huchong would flee. Ling Huchong clenched his fists hard. Cracks from his knuckles echoed in the silent night. If I leave now, they will think that my guilty conscience has overcome me, and I am running away. Fine, I'd rather stay. You can do whatever you want to me. What do I care? He thought aloud. Waiter, bring me some wine. He suddenly broke into a loud yell. After quite some shouting, the waiter finally answered and brought him some wine. One cup after another, Ling Huchong slammed the wine down his throat. Soon he became dead drunk and passed out. The next morning, when Laudenois prodded him into the wagon, half drunk and half awake, he just kept yelling, Bring me more wine! I want more wine! Several days later, the Huashan group arrived at the city of Luoyang and settled in a big inn. Lin Pingzhi went to his grandfather's house by himself first. Yue Buchun and the bunch of apprentices all changed into clean clothing. Ling Huchong never took off the mud-stained long robe he wore in the fierce fight outside of the monastery, so he was still covered with filth and looked very drunk. Yue Lingshan came to him with the long robe in her hands. Big apprentice brother, will you please change into this robe? This is Master's robe. Why do you want me to put it on? Ling Huchong asked. Little Lin is inviting us to his family a bit later. Why don't you put on Dad's robe? Yue Lingshan answered. Who said we have to put on nice clothing before visiting his family? Ling Wuchang snubbed as he looked at Yue Lingshan up and down. Yue Lingshan wore a thin cotton-padded jacket with green silk tops paired with a light green satin skirt. She had put on a thin layer of makeup on her face. Her dark hair was neatly combed and shined beautifully with a flower-shaped pearl hairpin by the side. Ling Wuchang remembered that she would only dress up nicely during the Chinese New Year. Feeling bitter in his heart, he wanted to spill out some more mocking words, but then he thought that a true man shouldn't act so narrow-mindedly and held his tongue. Oh, you sense something bad is about to happen? Maybe. Could be. Everyone is so secretive. Yue Lingshan felt somewhat embarrassed from Ling Wuchang's sharp stare. If you don't want to, then you don't have to change, she said. I'm not used to wearing new clothes. I'd better not change then, Ling Wuchang replied. Not wanting to argue with him, Yue Lingshan left with the robe still in her hands. A resonant voice rose from outside the door. Headmaster Yue has come such a long way here, and I didn't greet promptly. What a lack of manners. Yue Buchun knew that it must have been the unbeatable golden blade Wang Yuanba, who had come to the inn personally to greet them. Casting a pleased smile toward his wife, he felt quite contented. After the couple greeted out, what they saw was an old man in his 70s. His face shined in a healthy redness, while the bush of gray beard drifted in the breeze. He looked certainly hale and hearty. In his left palm were two goose egg-sized golden balls. He had two gigantic golden balls, which rubbed against each other and echoed as he rolled them in his hand. It was common for martial people to play with iron balls in their hands, but they would have been made out of iron or steel. What Wang Yuanba had in his hands were two balls made from pure gold, which not only were twice the weight of regular iron balls, but also looked much more luxurious. As soon as he spotted Yue Buchun, he burst into joy. So, I don't know if you guys know what these balls are. Well, I know what you know. I know that you know what balls are, but what do you call them? Chinese balls. Yeah, it's these things. So what you do is, I guess you exercise. I guess it's for exercise or something. You take the two balls and you just roll them around like this, or you roll them around in the other way. It's harder than it looks, but especially if you roll it around the other way. But I used to have these when I was young, and I would like just exercise with them all the time. I don't know if they do any good, but that's what they're talking about. So the Wang Yuanba, the unbeatable golden blade, has these balls, and they're made of gold. Braver than all of us Googling that. Oh shit. Oh, that could have gotten me banned. That could have been bad. I should have Googled that on the other screen and then pulled it to this screen. If I were smart. Freddy says, I play with a lot of balls. Yeah, maybe you are a sword saint. Maybe you're a master swordsman. Please explain. Yeah, I did use. Barbara asked, "What the fuck? You used to have the balls?" Yeah, I used to have those. They're real. They're just balls, and you just roll them around in your hand. Oh, gold is heavier than steel, so he might be doing it for hand training. So he might be a badass pressure pointer. He might be a great fingerer. Like he fingers people's pressure points, is what I'm saying. What an honor! Wait, who's talking? What an honor this is! Headmaster Yue has such a great reputation in the martial world. I have been longing to meet you for the last 20 years. Now that you have come to Luoyang, what a wonderful event it is for the Martial Arts Society in the central region. He shook Yue Buchun's right hand again and again, happily. The joy on his face was truly sincere. My wife and I have decided to bring our apprentices to travel around, so they could gain some experience in the world, Yue Buchun said with a smile. And you, the unbeatable Golden Blade, Grandmaster Wang, the great master of the central region, is the first on our list to visit, but the dozens of us are really being crude to just show up so abruptly, uninvited. All right now, nobody is allowed to mention the words unbeatable Golden Blade again in front of Headmaster Yue. Anyone mentioning those words would be only putting me down instead of flattering me. Mr. Yue, your saving of my grandson is a favor tantamount to giving him a new lease on life. Starting from now on, the House of Golden Blade and the Sword School of Huashan are both parts of one big family. Come, all of you will move to my house. No one will be allowed to leave until you have lived in my house for at least half a year. Headmaster Yue, I'll even help you carry your luggage. That's very kind of you. I certainly don't deserve that, Yue Buchun replied in a hurry. Bofen, Chongjiang, kowtow to the Uncle Master Yue and Uncle Master Wife Yue. Wang Yuanba turned his head and called to his two sons standing behind him. Wang Bofun, and Wang Zhongqiang. God damn it. Both acknowledged and knelt down to salute. In a hurry, the Yue Buchun couple also knelt down to salute back. Please, just call us by our names. Uncle Master would be so inappropriate. Even just for Pinju's sake, we are of the same generation, Yue Buchun remarked. Wang Bofun and Wang Zhongqiang are both famous masters around the Henan province and Hubei province. Though they had always admired Yue Buchun, neither of them really wanted to kowtow to him. They had knelt down reluctantly, only because their father had told them to do so. So both were very pleased to see that the Yue Buchun couple also kowtowed back to them. All four of them stood up after saluting each other. Yue Buchun took a look at the two. Both brothers were tall, only that Wang Zhongqiang was a lot chubbier in comparison, and both had temples plumped high and strong veins and bones that could be clearly seen on their hands. Evidently, the two brothers had great strength, both internally and externally. All of you come forward and show your respect to Grandmaster Wang and the two Uncle Masters, Yue Buchun called out to the Huashan apprentices. The House of Golden Blades' martial arts martial arts skills enjoyed a great reputation in the central region of the martial society. Our Grandmaster in the last generation also respected the House of Golden Blade very much. You are very fortunate to have Grandmaster Wang and the two Uncle Masters give you some pointers. I am sure you will all benefit a great deal from this. Yes, Master, the many apprentices replied in unison, and seconds later the lobby of the inn was filled with apprentices kneeling down the floor, showing their respects. You really flatter me. Wang Yuanba smiled brightly as Wang Bofun and Wang Zhongqiang both cupped their hands and greeted back with a half salute. Lin Pingzhi stood by the side and introduced each of the Huashan apprentices to his grandpa. The Wang family was a wealthy family. Wang Yuanba had prepared presents for each of the guests ahead of time. Each gift consisted of 40 taels of silver. The two brothers in the Wang family took on the job of distributing the presents. By the time Lin Pingzhi introduced Yue Lingshan, Wang Yuanba said to Yue Buchun with a big grin, Little brother Yue, your daughter is such a beautiful girl. Is she engaged to anyone yet? The girl is still too young. Besides, in a martial family like ours, a girl plays with swords and knives all day long, just like any boy would. She doesn't know anything about embroidering or cooking. Who would want such a wild girl to be their daughter-in-law? Yue Buchun also grinned. You are being really modest, Wang Yuanba replied with a beam. An extraordinary family would of course raise an extraordinary daughter. It is only natural that lads from ordinary families would not have dared to claim kinship with her. But you are right. It would be better if the girl learned some girly things. At that word, he lowered his voice and seemed to have lost in deep feelings. Yue Buchun knew that he must have thought of his daughter, who had passed away in Hunan province not long ago, so he put on a solemn face and responded, Yes. Wang Yuanba was a man of frank and open personality. He quickly put himself together from the pain of losing a daughter and spoke again with a bright smile. Your daughter is talented and beautiful. It would certainly be a difficult task to find a young hero good enough to pair up with her. By then, Lao Dunhua had gone back to the inn room and prodded Ling Huchong out. Staggering along, Ling Huchong kowtowed to neither Wang Yuanba nor the Wang brothers, and only bowed down deeply. Ling Huchong here shows his respect to Grandmaster Wang and the two uncle masters, he said. Aren't you going to kowtow? Yue Buchun frowned. Wang Yuanba had heard from his grandson earlier that Ling Huchong had severe internal wounds, so he said with a smile, Nephew Ling Hu is not feeling well. There is no need for excessive manners. Little brother Yue, your Huashan school's inner energy skill is said to be the best in the Five Mountains sword alliance. Then I am sure your wine tolerance must be extraordinary. Come on, let's go drink 10 bowls of wine each. Holding Yue Buchun's hand in his own, he led Yue Buchun out of the inn. Madame Yue, Wang Bofen, Wang Zhongqiang, and the rest of the Huashan apprentices all followed behind them. Many wagons and horses had been lined up outside of the inn with fine-looking saddles and bridle, wagons for all the females and horses for all the males, ready to take on the honorable guests. It was a mere 2 hours between the time Lin Pingzhi headed out to inform the Wang family and the time Wang Yuanba came to the inn to greet his guests. Only from the fact that all the wagons and horses had been ready in such a short time, one can easily tell the kind of great power the Golden Blade Wang family enjoyed in the city of Luoyang. What's the Tale of Silver go for these days? Yeah, how much is a Tale of Silver? I have no idea. I'm guessing it must be a lot, right? Ling Hushang is not in a good way right now. Like, he's not feeling very well. And he is super drunk. And it's not a good look. The group soon arrived at the mansion of the Wang family. The building looked tall and majestic, with a gate painted in vermilion. The 2 huge copper rings attached to the gate must have been cleaned frequently as they dazzled brilliantly in the sunlight. 8 brawny guards stood by the gate silently, their arms behind their back, all ready to take commands from their master. And inside the gate, a huge black board hung from the girder with the words, Help for a just cause, painted in gold. The words at the lower portion of the board showed that a governor of Henan province had inscribed the calligraphy. All right, give me 5 minutes. All right, I'll be right back. Take a break. Need to rest my mouth a bit. Need to rest my tongue a bit. Alright, meanwhile, looking for a song to play during the break. Alright guys, be right back. Hello, I'm back. That was some Samurai Champloo music. I think someone requested that a while ago. Yeah, did you like it? You want Metallica? Metallica? I think that's copyrighted. I guess all of these are copyrighted. I'm scared to play Metallica. I don't want to get copyrighted. Dun, 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 dun. All right, I have. Let's eat some of these. Wheat crackers. Yeah. Soy sauce flavored. Ugh. So these are pretty good. I've had these before. They look like ramen noodles, like dry ramen noodles. And they're really good. Oh shit. Like sometimes you just want to take the raw noodles out and eat it. But instead of doing that, you can eat these. Very similar. And it's already flavored. I should do Sean Connery. I'm not a professional. I don't know how to do that. Yes, yes. Yes, Q, can you get me that gun? That's a TV. Can't do it. So I'm another one who eats raw ramen. You don't eat raw ramen? It's really good. It depends on the ramen though. It depends on the ramen though. It depends on the ramen though. That's my Sean Connery. Scottish? Oh hell no. You're Gilbert Godfrey? How do you do that? That night, John Yonba put out a large banquet to welcome Yue Buchun and the rest of the Huashan apprentices. That's not Gilbert Godfrey. I think he's higher than that. And he yells a lot. Bring me my lemonade! I'm gonna stop. Higher and hoarser. Higher and hoarser. Bring me my lemonade! No, that's not it. That is not. Alright, we gotta get through this chapter, guys. I can't just keep doing bad voices. That night, Wang Yuanba put out a large banquet to welcome Yue Buchun and the rest of the Huashan apprentices. Not only did he invite many famous masters in the local martial arts society to welcome the noble visitors, among the guests were also numerous wealthy business owners and local celebrities. Ling Huchong was the head apprentice of the Huashan Sword School, so other than his master Yue Buchun, he had the most seniority among all the male visitors. Noticing the filthy and tattered clothing he was wearing, and the listless face of his, all the guests found themselves puzzled inside. But it was common knowledge that the martial world did not lack people of strange and unique behaviors. Didn't elite masters from the Beggar's Clan all wear ragged clothing? Since he was a head apprentice of the Huashan Sword School, he couldn't have been ordinary. Therefore, no one had any belittling thought about Ling Hu Chong. Yeah, don't clip that. Don't clip that out. Don't embarrass me like that. Oh yeah, Gilbert Gottfried made a great Iago from Aladdin. Definitely. Ling Hu Chong was seated at the second table, accompanied by one of the hosts, Wang Bofen. Soon the wine had gone around 3 times. Wang Bofen couldn't help but notice that Ling Hu Chong had maintained an indifferent face throughout the time, and would only reply once in a while to his attempt to make conversation. Apparently, Ling Hu Chong didn't really think much of him at all. Then he remembered that earlier in the inn, Ling Hu Chong didn't even kowtow to them, yet had no problem accepting the present of 40 taels of silver. Feeling very displeased, he decided to change the topic to something in regards to martial arts techniques. So he casually asked for Ling Hu Chong's opinion on several martial arts related questions that were in the advanced level. But Ling Hu Chong only nodded and agreed, never really answering any of them. Actually, Ling Hu Chong didn't have any ill feeling against Wang Bofen at all. It was just that after seeing the luxurious life of the Wang family, he realized that the difference between his indigence and the wealth of the Wang family was so dramatic. It was almost like the difference between heaven and earth. Lin Pingzhi had changed into a long robe made of silk brocade after he came to his grandfather's house. He had a handsome face to start with, so after dressing up, he looked extremely elegant and graceful. Ling Hu Chong simply couldn't help but feel a sense of inferiority and inadequacy. Even if little apprentice sister didn't become a couple with him and stayed the same to me, what future would she have staying with a pauper like me, he thought. All his minds focused around Yue Lingshan, so naturally, regardless of what Wang Bofen said to him, nothing really went into his ears. Enjoying a great fame in the martial arts society around the central region, Wang Bofen had been used to people fawning on him left and right, yet tonight he kept getting snags from the young man named Ling Hu Chong. Normally he would have let his temper loose right at the beginning, but for the sake of his dead sister, and the fact that his father had great respect toward the Huashan Sword School, he worked hard to hold his temper down and just kept toasting to Ling Hu Chong. Every time when someone toasted Ling Hu Chong, he would slam down the wine in his cup without thinking. So before he even knew it, 40 cups of wine or so had gone down his throat. 40. He used to have very good tolerance of wine. Even over 100 cups worth of wine wouldn't have made a difference for him. But because he had lost all his inner energy, his tolerance was reduced quite a bit. And in addition, with a tremendous amount of anxiety gnawing at his heart, each cup of wine seemed to have had a much greater effect on him. By the time he drank up all those 40 cups of wine, he was already feeling dizzy. Oh, this is not going to end well. This lad doesn't know the ways of the world at all, Wang Bofen thought aloud. My nephew is your apprentice brother, so you should have called me an uncle master or simply uncle. It is all right that you didn't call me an uncle, but how dare you ignore me completely like this? Very well, I am going to get you drunk and let you make a fool out of yourself in front of all these guests. Seeing that Ling Hu Chong could barely keep his eyes open and was tipsy already, he said with a smile, Little brother Ling Hu is the head apprentice of the Huashan Sword School, and sure enough, he is an outstanding young hero. Not only is his kung fu skill extraordinary, his wine intolerance is also extraordinary. Servants, get rid of the tiny cup. Get Mr. Ling Hu a big bowl and keep it filled. The servants cheered and filled Ling Hu Chong's bowl with wine. Throughout Ling Hu Chong's life, he had never stopped anyone from pouring wine for him, so as soon as his bowl was filled, he would empty it down his throat. Not long after, he had drunk up another 5 or 6 bowls worth of wine. Suddenly, with a wave of his arm, he swept all the plates and cups in front of him off the table. Young hero Ling Hu has had a drop too much. Better drink a cup of hot tea to sober up, guests from the same table all suggested. There's no way the head apprentice of the Huashan Sword School would get drunk so easily. Little brother Ling Hu, drink up. Wang Bofen beamed as he filled Ling Hu Chang's bowl once again. Who said I'm drunk? Bottoms up, Ling Hu Chang replied. He picked up the wine and started pouring it down in big swallows. Half of the wine already ended up dripping down his robe. All of a sudden, his body jerked as he opened his mouth wide and started vomiting. And seconds later, the entire tabletop was covered with wine and dishes that had been inside his stomach just moments ago. People around the table dodged backward in shock while a smirk ran across Wang Bofen's lips. Oops. Oh, that's embarrassing. Hundreds of pairs of eyes were immediately fixed onto Ling Hu Chang. Yue Buchun and Madame Yue both frowned, thinking, this lad really doesn't know how to behave in formal occasions. He has just made a fool of himself in front of so many noble guests. Lao Denois and Lin Pingzhi both rushed forward and held Ling Hu Chang in support. Big apprentice brother, why don't I walk you back to rest? Lin Pingzhi suggested. I am not drunk. I can drink more. Give me more wine, Ling Hu Chang rebuffed. Sure. Someone brings some more wine out, Lin Pingzhi replied. You, little Lin, why aren't you spending time with little apprentice sister? What are you dragging me for? Ling Hu Chang cast a sidelong, bleary-eyed glance at Lin Pingzhi. Big apprentice brother, Lao Denois said. Let's go take a break. There's a big crowd here. We've got to watch our mouth. Watch my mouth? Huh. Master sent you to keep watch on me. Have you found any proof yet? Ling Hu Chang snapped. Afraid that Ling Hu Chang could speak anything without thinking in his drunkenness, Lao Denois held Ling Hu Chang's arm and pushed him all the way into the guest room at the back, with the help from Lin Pingzhi. Yue Buchun also heard Ling Hu Chang's words. Even though Yue Buchun was well self-cultivated, he couldn't help but show an annoyed face. Little brother Yue, Wang Yuanba soothed. That was only nonsense from the mouth of a drunken young lad. Why bother? Come on, let's enjoy our wine. The lad is from a countryside that hasn't had much chance with formal settings. Will you please pardon him, Grandmaster Wang? Yue Buchun replied with a forced smile. After the banquet was over, Yue Buchun told Lao Denois to stop following Ling Hu Chang around and only watch him in secret. It was not until the next afternoon before Ling Hu Chang finally woke up. Remembering none of what he had said the previous day, he found himself with a terrible headache. Almost felt as if his head had been cracked open. Taking a look around, he found himself the only occupant of a neat and clean room. He stepped out of the guest room, but didn't see any of his apprentice brothers. After inquiring the servants, he learned that they all went to the training hall at the back side to swap pointers in martial arts training with the sons and apprentices of the Wang family. Why bother tangling up with them? Why bother tangling up with them? I'd be better off just taking a hike by myself. Ling Hu Chang thought to himself as he stalked out of the gate and off to the street. Luoyang had been the capital for many different dynasties. There were many good-sized buildings everywhere, yet the streets weren't very busy. Ling Hu Chang was not very literate and only had a very limited knowledge about history. Staring at the many historical sites in the city of Luoyang, he had no idea as to what they were and what they were for. Bored stiff, he strolled aimlessly into a small alley. Then something caught his attention. 7 or 8 local punks were playing a game of gambling inside a small tavern. Pushing his way through the crowd to the front, he took out the package of present he had received from Wang Yuanba the previous day. Retrieving the silver out, he joined the game with keen interests. Not until dusk did he finally return, tipsy from drinking more wine. For the next several days, he kept going back to gamble and drink with a bunch of local punks. In the first couple of days, he had some good luck and won several taels of silver. But by the fourth day, he kept losing, and soon his 40 taels of silver were completely cleaned out. Naturally, the group of punks kicked him out of the game. Feeling quite infuriated, Ling Hucheng kept asking for more wine. But after only a couple of kettles of wine were served, the bartender asked, "Young man, you've lost all your money in the gambling game. How are you going to pay for the wine?" "Write it under my tab. I'll pay you tomorrow," Ling Hucheng replied. "Our business is very small. We don't give credits to anyone, not even relatives or close friends." The bartender shook his head. Infuriated, Ling Hucheng snarled, "How dare you think I don't have any money?" "Sorry," the bartender replied with a smirk. "Show your money, and you'll get your wine. No money, no wine, no credit." Ling Hucheng glanced over himself. His ragged and tattered clothing certainly didn't help convince the bartender that he might be a wealthy man. Other than the long sword by his waist, he really didn't have anything else that might be worth any money. So he untied the long sword from his waistband and threw it onto the table. "Take this to the pawn shop," he said. Wanting to win more money out of him, one of the punks replied in a rush, "Sure, I'll pawn it for you." He took the longsword and left. Oh shit. Did he just pawn off his sword? With that assurance, the bartender took out another 2 kettles of wine for Ling Hucheng. By the time Ling Hucheng finished one, the punk had returned with some small pieces of silver. "It's pawned for 3 taels and 4 ounces, the punk said as he gave the silver and the pawn ticket to Ling Hucheng. Ling Hucheng weighed the silver in his hand. He didn't even weigh a full 3 taels, but he didn't complain and went straight back to the gambling game. The game lasted till around dusk, when the 3 taels of silver exchanged hands again. From both losing in the gambling and paying for the wine he drank. "Hey, loan me 3 taels of silver. I'll pay you back double the amount if I win," Ling Hucheng said to a punk named Twitch Lip Chen. Twitch Lip Chen? Chen? "What if you lose?" Twitch Lip Chen asked with a snicker. "If I lose, I'll pay you back tomorrow," Ling Hucheng answered. "How do I know if you have any money at home or not? If you lose, how are you going to pay me back? Are you gonna sell your bitch or your sister then?" Twitch Lip Chen mocked. Ling Hucheng's anger exploded. He raised his arm and slapped Chen across the face with a backhand. By then, he had consumed a good amount of wine and was already half drunk. Reaching out, he snatched the small pile of silver in front of Twitch Lip Chen. "What the hell? This son of a bitch is a mugger!" Twitch Lip Chen yelled out loud. The group of punks all came from the same clan, and immediately they swarmed forward and started throwing punches toward Ling Hucheng. Having no sword in his hand and having no strength to defend himself, Ling Hucheng was pushed down on the ground. The punks punched and kicked and within moments gave Ling Hucheng bruises all over his face and his body. Sounds of hoofbeats rose. Several horses came by in short trots. Oh, wait. We have sound effect. Oof. "Move out of the way! Get lost!" Someone on horseback yelled and whipped his horsewhip to drive away the punks. Ling Hucheng just lay still on the ground, face down, and couldn't even get up. A girl's voice suddenly cried out, "Isn't that Baker Prince's brother?" It was the voice of Yue Lingshan. "Let me take a look," another voice answered. It was Lin Pingzhi this time. Lin Pingzhi dismounted from his horse and then turned Ling Hucheng's body around. "Baker Prince's brother? Are you okay?" he cried out in shock as soon as he recognized Ling Hucheng's face. "I got drunk, and I lost my bets." Ling Hucheng squeezed out a wry smile and shook his head. In a hurry, Lin Pingzhi propped him up and helped him onto the horseback. Besides Lin Pingzhi and Yue Lingshan, there were 4 other riders in the pack. They were the 2 daughters of Wang Bofen and the 2 sons of Wang Zhongqiang, the cousins of Lin Pingzhi. The 6 of them had set out in the morning on the tour around the various temples and historical sites in the city of Luoyang. and were on their way back home after the fun. They certainly didn't expect to find a Ling Hu Chong all beat up in the middle of the small alley. All four of them were astounded. The Huashan Sword School is a member of the Five Mountains Sword Alliance, they thought. When Grandpa mentioned about them, he would always praise dearly. And when we exchanged pointers with them in martial arts a couple of days ago, they didn't show outstanding kung fu skills. Isn't this Ling Hu Chong the head apprentice of the Huashan Sword School? How come he couldn't even overcome several local punks? But even if Ling Hu Chong's nose was really bleeding so badly, how could this not be true? How odd. Returning back to Wang Yuanba's mansion, Ling Hu Chong slowly recovered after several days of good rest. Yue Buchun and Madame Yue were both aggravated at the news that Ling Hu Chong went gambling with some local rascals and went in a fistfight after losing his money, and neither of them paid a visit to him. But the fifth day, Wang Jiazhu, the younger son of Wang Zhongqiang, walked in Ling Hu Chong's room excitedly. Big brother Ling Hu, I vented the spleen for you today. I gathered up the seven punks who beat you up that day and gave them each some good lashes. Ling Hu Chong didn't really mind this incident much, so he replied casually, That's not really necessary. I got drunk that day, and it was really my fault to start with. Nah, they can't do that to you. You are a guest of the Golden Blade Wang family. How can the Golden Blade Wang family let its guests get beat up in the city of Luoyang and not get even? Even if we don't straighten this out, would others still show the same kind of respect to the Golden Blade Wang family? Wang Jiaju disagreed. Deep inside Ling Hu Chong's heart, he had already disliked the Golden Blade Wang family. Now when he heard Wang Jiaju mention the Golden Blade Wang family left and right, as if the family was the most powerful and influential family in the entire martial world, he couldn't help but mock. It sure takes the Golden Blade Wang family to deal with a bunch of punks and rascals. As soon as the words came out of his mouth, he regretted saying them. Just when he was about to apologize, Wang Jiaju had responded with a stern face. Brother Ling Hu, what are you talking about? If it weren't for my brother and I who drove those 7 punks away, would you still be alive today? I do owe the two of you a debt of gratitude for saving my life, Ling Hu Chong replied with a casual smile. Wang Jiaju could tell from how Ling Hu Chong said the words that it was sarcastic, and that he didn't mean it at all. Feeling more irritated, he snapped. You are the head apprentice of the Huashan Sword School, yet you couldn't even handle a couple of local punks and rascals in Luoyang. Huh, aren't people going to say that you don't deserve your reputation? At this time, Ling Hu Chong really didn't care about anything, so he replied, I don't even have a reputation to start with. What's there to deserve or what not? Brother, what are you discussing about with Brother Ling Hu? A voice rose from outside the door. Then the curtain was lifted and a man walked in. It was Wang Jiajun, the elder son of Wang Zhongqiang. Okay, so these are his cousins. Or apprentice cousins? No, not his cousins. His cousin... But they said they were his cousins earlier on, right? I don't think they're actually related, though. Yeah, they're not related. Brother, I thought I'd be doing him a favor and help vent his anger when I gathered up those 7 punks and gave each of them some good lashing. Who would have thought that this hero Ling Hu would blame me for interfering? Wang Jiaju exclaimed angrily. Ah, there's something you don't know, Wang Jiajun responded. I just heard from apprentice sister Yue a moment ago that this brother Ling Hu is very good at concealing his real abilities. That day outside the monastery of the Buddha of Herb, he blinded 15 first-class fighters' eyes with only one swing of his longsword. What brilliant sword art that must have been. Got to be very rare indeed. His grin had a sense of mockery. Obviously, he didn't believe a single word from Yue Lingshan. Yeah, Chong is like, He's super depressed. He doesn't care about anything anymore. I think they're friendly, but I've learned other countries call neighbors or friends their family if it's not confusing. Yeah, yeah. They were before Wang Yuanba, the leader of the Wang family. He said, "Oh, we're all a big family now. We're both of our families are big families." So maybe that's why they called the he they called the two his cousins. Those words didn't bother Ling Huchong a bit. He chuckled and then simply sat down on his chair, swaying back and forth gently with his arms around his right knee. Wang Jiajun was actually sent here by his father and his uncle to interrogate Ling Huchong. Originally, the brothers Wang Bofeng and Wang Zhongqiang had told him to try to coax secret using kind words without offending the guest. But seeing the arrogant look on Ling Huchong's face, now he had treated the two brothers like dirt, he lost his temper. Brother Ling Hu, would you be kind enough to answer a question of mine? He raised his voice high. Certainly, Ling Huchong answered. I heard from cousin Ping Zhi that when my uncle and aunt passed away, Brother Ling Hu was the only one there to attend upon, Wang Jiajun said. That's right, Ling Huchong nodded. Then it was you, Brother Ling Hu, who passed the last words from my uncle and aunt to my cousin, Ping Zhi. Wang Jiajun continued. Correct, Ling Huchong replied. Then how about my uncle's evil resisting sword manuscript? Wang Jiajun pressed on. Everyone is after this book. At these words, Ling Huchong stood up abruptly. What did you say? He yelled loudly. Worried that Ling Huchong might launch a sudden attack against him, Wang Jiajun took a step back. My uncle owned the evil resisting sword manuscript and asked you to give it to my cousin Ping Zhi. Why haven't you given it to him? He charged. Hearing such irresponsible calumniation from him. What the hell? What is that word? Calumniation. A false accusation of an offense or a malicious misrepresentation of someone's words or actions. Okay. A false accusation then. Oh, I just learned a new word. Hearing such irresponsible calumniation from him, Ling Huchong trembled in rage. Who said that there's an evil resisting sword manuscript for me to give to apprentice brother Lin? He asked with a trembling voice. If there isn't one, why do you look so scared and can't even talk right? Aren't you showing a guilty conscience? Wang Jiajun challenged with a smirk. Brothers, I am a guest here in your house. Do these words of yours represent what your father and grandpa think of me? Or simply what the two of you think of me? Ling Huchong asked, working hard to control his temper. I am just asking you a casual question. What's the big deal? It has nothing to do with my grandpa or my dad, but it is well known in the martial world that the evil resisting sword art of the Lin family in Fuzhou is a very powerful sword art. Since Uncle Lin passed away so abruptly, and the precious manuscript that he always carried with him disappeared all of a sudden, as his close relatives, we certainly want to hear about it, Wang Jiajun replied. Little Lin sent you to ask me the question, didn't he? Why doesn't he come and ask himself? Ling Huchong mocked. Cousin Ping Zhi is your junior apprentice's brother. How would he ever dare to ask you? Wang Jiaju let out some laughs. Now, with your Luoyang Golden Blade Wang family backing him up, you sure can force me to talk now. Why don't you go get Lin Ping Zhi now? Ling Huchong sneered. You are the guest of the house. We dare not force you to talk. The two brothers of us are simply curious about it. That's why we asked the question. If Brother Ling Hu is willing to answer, that would be great. If you do not want to answer, then there's really nothing we can do about it, Wang Jiajun said. Ling Huchong nodded. I don't want to answer. There's nothing you can do about it. Please, leave me alone now. The Wang brothers gazed at each other in speechless despair. Neither had expected Ling Hucheng to be so straightforward and close the topic so quickly. Wang Jiajun cleared his throat and then tried to start the conversation again. Brother Ling Hu, you blinded 15 first-class fighters' eyes with only one thrust of your sword. This move is brilliant. Perhaps you learned it from the evil resisting sword manuscript, didn't you? Oh, they looks like everyone suspects them because he was using martial arts that no one knew about, and it was so powerful. So they thought he must have read from the evil resisting sword manuscript. Ling Wuchang was dumbfounded. Cold sweats broke out all over his body, and his hands trembled. It had all become so clear to him now. I have been wondering about this for many days. Why didn't Master, Master Wife, and the bunch of apprentice brothers and sisters feel grateful that I saved their lives? Yet they all became suspicious of me. Now I know. That's it. So they are all convinced. So they are all convinced that I embezzled Lin Junan's evil resisting sword manuscript. Since they've never seen the Dugu 9 swords before, and I refuse to let out the secret that Grand Uncle Master Feng trained me in sword arts, when they saw that my sword skills progressed so tremendously all of a sudden, after spending several months on top of the Cliff of Contemplation, they all concluded that I had learned brilliant sword techniques from the evil resisting sword manuscript. If that wasn't the case, where else would I be able to learn such terrific sword arts? It was such a coincidence that Grand Uncle Master Feng showed up and taught me the sword art. No one would ever have expected that. But when the Lin Junan couple passed away, I was the only one by their side. So naturally, everyone would assume that the evil resisting sword manuscript, the ultimate sword art book that many elite masters would cast greedy eyes on, had fallen into my hands. It is understandable that others would have guessed like that. But Master and Master Wife have brought me up, and little apprentice sister is as close to me as a real sister. They all know me well, yet didn't trust me on this one. Huh, you have really belittled me. At that thought, his face naturally showed the expression of indignation. I guessed it right, didn't I? Wang Jiajun said with a triumphant grin on his lips. Where is the evil resisting sword manuscript then? We are not interested in reading it at all. All we want is to return the manuscript to its rightful owner. Just give the sword art manuscript back to Cousin Lin, will you? I've never seen any evil resisting sword manuscript. Ling Wuchang shook his head. Chief Master Lin and his wife were taken prisoners, first by the Qincheng Sword School, then by the Hunchback of the North, Mu Gaofeng. If he had any sword art manuscripts on him, they would have found it first. Precisely, Wang Jiajun immediately followed. The evil resisting sword manuscript is so precious, why would my uncle and aunt carry it everywhere with them? Of course, they had hid it in a very secret place, and only before they passed away, they asked you to pass the message on to Cousin Pingjir. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that? Huh. Who would have thought that you would go find it behind everyone's back and embezzled it to be your own? Wang Jiaju finished the sentence for his brother. The more Ling Hucheng heard, the angrier he became. He really didn't want to argue anymore, but since this was a very important matter, he would not want to take the blame for it, so he responded. If Chief Master Lin really had such brilliant sword arts manuscript, he should have become invincible himself. Why couldn't he even defeat a couple of apprentices from the Qincheng Sword School and was taken prisoner by them? That... Wang Jiaju could not find any answer to that question and became tongue-tied. Wang Jiajun, on the other hand, had a glib tongue. He argued, that wasn't unique. Brother Ling Hu, you learned the evil-resisting sword art and achieved outstanding sword skills, yet you couldn't even defeat several punks and rascals and was taken prisoner by them. How are you going to explain that then? It's called pretending. It's too bad that you have gone a bit too far this time. The head apprentice of the Huashan Sword School couldn't even defend himself against several punks on the Luoyang streets. No one will ever be convinced by this act of yours, and since this is completely impossible, then it must be a trick. Brother Linghu, why don't you listen to my advice and just admit it? Under normal circumstances, Ling Huchong would have answered back sarcastically. But what had happened was such a coincidence which set him right under the spotlight with the most suspicion. He cared nothing about the Golden Blade Wang family or the young Wang brothers, but he couldn't let master, master wife, and little apprentice sister be suspicious of him. I, Ling Huchong, have never seen anything called evil resisting sword manuscript. What Chief Master Lin from Fuzhou told me before he passed away, I have already passed on to apprentice brother Lin without omitting a single word. If I had lied about any part of it, may heaven cast me down to hell for eternal suffering and never bring me back. Ling Huchong spoke with a solemn face. He positioned his hands behind his back after those words, his face looking awe-inspiring with ultimate righteousness. Did you think you can get yourself off the hook so easily just by swearing a casual oath? We are all talking about a serious matter concerning a serious martial arts manuscript here. Do you think everyone else is just plain stupid? Wang Jiajun grinned. So, what's your idea then? Ling Huchong asked while forcing himself to stay calm. Please pardon our boldness, but we'd like to make a body search on you, Brother Linghu. Wang Jiaju suggested. He paused for a second and then added with a smirk, that day when Brother Linghu was seized by those 7 punks and couldn't move a muscle, they could have searched all over you, couldn't they? You want to make a body search on me? Are you saying that I am a thief? Ling Huchang mocked with a sneer. We dare not, Wang Jiajun replied. Since you stated that you never took the evil resisting sword art, why be afraid to let us search you? Once we do a body search on you and there isn't any sword manuscript on you, you would be cleared from suspicion. Wouldn't you want that? Fine. Why don't you go get apprentice brother Lin and apprentice sister Yue so the 2 of them can be witnesses? Ling Huchang nodded his agreement. But Wang Jiajun didn't like the idea at all. Fearing that as soon as he walked away and left his brother alone with Ling Huchang would be able to overpower his brother with ease. But if both of them went together, then of course Ling Huchang would hide the evil resisting sword manuscript, and they would have no chance of finding it ever again. So he rejected. The search would still be the same. If you aren't afraid of the search, why so many excuses? Ling Huchang thought to himself, I agreed to let you search my body only because I want to prove my innocence in front of the master, master wife, and little apprentice sister, the 3 of them. Whether you believe me or not, what do I care? There's no way I am going to let your filthy claws touch my body if little apprentice sister weren't here. So he shook his head slowly. Just the 2 of you? I am afraid you are not worthy of searching me. The more Ling Huchang objected to the search, the more the 2 Wang brothers were convinced that the evil resisting sword manuscript was hidden on Ling Huchang's body. If they were able to find the manuscript, then firstly, they would look really good in front of their father and uncle. And secondly, they've heard that the manuscript contained superior sword art techniques, and since they were the ones who found it, Cousin Lin would have no choice but to let them borrow the manuscript and take a look. Wang Jiajun had seen with his own eyes the other day that Ling Huchang couldn't even defend himself when the several rascals subdued him and gave him a good beating. He concluded that Ling Huchang must be only good with sword techniques, but not hand-to-hand combat techniques. Oh, he's right. In this point, he is right. He's only good with sword techniques, but not hand-to-hand combat. It would be a perfect opportunity right now when Ling Huchang had no sword in his hands, so he threw a meaningful glance at his brother before speaking to Ling Huchang again. Brother Linghu, better not refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. It's not going to be a pleasant scene if we get on the wrong side of each other. With those words, the two brothers closed in on Ling Hucheng. Suddenly, Wang Jiaju squared his shoulders and charged forward. Ling Hucheng raised his arm to block. Hey, you hit me! Wang Jiaju yelled out. Oh, wait. Hey, you hit me! Wang Jiaju yelled out loud as he locked Ling Hucheng's wrist and then pushed down with his elbow. Knowing that Ling Hucheng is the head apprentice of the Huashan Sword School, not someone to be overlooked, he applied the joint manipulation techniques of the Wang family with all his strength. Ling Hucheng was an experienced fighter. As soon as he saw Wang Jiaju charging in like that, he knew the opponent was all hostile. He had many different counterattacks in mind with this block. When the opponent locked his wrist, he could have turned his arm over and thrust it down in an angle to launch his counterattack, but because he had lost all his inner strength, and even though he executed the technique right away, there was no strength behind it. He felt a tingle from the joints on his right arm, and then heard a crack. Wang Jiaju had broken his right elbow. Excruciating pain immediately consumed him. Wang Jiaju was quite ruthless. As soon as he broke Ling Hucheng's right arm with a push, he threw a claw hand and dislocated Ling Hucheng's shoulder immediately after. Brother, quick, search him, he shouted. Kneeling down on Ling Hucheng's legs with his left leg to prevent Ling Hucheng from throwing any kicks, Wang Jiajun reached into Ling Hucheng's chest pocket and began to empty it. Suddenly, his hand came to contact with a thin booklet. He took it out quickly. Here it is! Here it is! Here's Uncle Linz's evil resisting sword manuscript. Oh, that's surprising. The two brothers flipped the booklet open in a rash. There were 3 words written on the first page in ancient script. Smiling, proud wanderer. Ah. The Wang brothers were only roughly literate. If those words had been written in normal script, they would have recognized them. But since they were all in ancient scripts, they had no clue. Flipping to the next page, they saw even stranger symbols and characters all over the page. They didn't know that those were actually symbols and characters for music scores, and since they had assumed that this was none other than the evil resisting sword manuscript, by now all their suspicions had been cleared away. Ah, it's the Smiling Proud Wanderer book. Okay, it's the music that what are their name? Liu Chengfeng and who's the other guy? Forgot his name. But yeah, it was those two. It was the music manual for those two. Chu Yang, thank you, Losh. Yeah, it was music. It was a Smiling Proud Wanderer booklet from Liu Chengfeng and Chu Yang, who died, and gave him that book so that he could spread the music to other people. He was supposed to find people, 2 people who can play the music, so that their life's work would not be lost. Evil resisting sword manuscript! Evil resisting sword manuscript! The 2 brothers shouted in unison. Let's show it to father, Wang Jiajun suggested. He took the booklet and ran out. You shameless thief! Wang Jiaju cursed as he kicked Ling Hucheng in the waist heavily. After spitting on Ling Hucheng's face, he also ran out of the room. At first, Ling Hucheng felt as if his chest was going to explode from the unbearable fury. But then he thought, those 2 brats are simply idiots. Their grandfather and father can't be so stupid. When they find out that this is only a music score, for sure they would come to apologize. Waves of pain came from his dislocated shoulder and elbow. He couldn't help but groan. I've lost all my inner strength. I can't even defend myself against punks and rascals off the street. I am a good for nothing now. What's the point of staying alive in this world then? Wait a minute. Just grab a sword, dude, and then you're like a master sword fighter. He lay on the bed, sweating in pain. Tears streamed down as he grieved over himself, but remembering that the Wang brothers must be returning soon, he wiped off his tears so that he wouldn't show a sign of weakness. After a long while, sounds of footsteps arose. The Wang brothers rushed back in a hurry. "Go see my grandpa," Wang Jiajun said with a sneer. "No way," Ling Hucheng rebuffed angrily. "Your grandpa should have come here to apologize to me. Why should I go see him?" The Wang brothers burst into loud laughter. "My grandpa apologized to you? Dream on, let's go," Wang Jiaju scoffed. The two brothers grabbed onto Ling Hucheng's robe, picked him off the bed, and carried him out. "Your Golden Blade Wang family still calls yourself chivalrous? You are arrogant and conceited, despicable and shameless," Ling Hucheng cursed. Wang Jiajun slapped Ling Hucheng with a backhand, which bruised his face, and blood started dripping down his lips. But Ling Hucheng kept on cursing while the Wang brothers carried him all the way to the back hall. Wang Yuanba and the Yue Buchun couple had been waiting in the back hall. Wang Bofeng and Wang Zhangqiang also sat by Wang Yuanba, but that didn't keep Ling Hucheng from spilling profanities non-stop. "Golden Blade Wang family, what a shameless and contemptible family. I've never seen a family so low and dirty in the entire martial world." "Chong, shut up," Yue Buchun yelled with a stern face. Hearing his master's rebuke, Ling Hucheng finally stopped cursing, but he still glared at Wang Yuanba with angry eyes. Holding the music score booklet in his hand, Wang Yuanba asked casually, "Nephew Ling Hu, where did you get this evil resisting sword manuscript?" "What?" Raising his head high, Ling Hucheng laughed out loud. "Chong, when a senior asks you a question, you answer to the best knowledge of yours. How dare you be so rude? Where are your manners?" Yue Buchun admonished. "Master," Ling Hucheng answered, "because of my internal wounds, I have no strength left in me. And look how those brats have treated me. Huh, is this how a guest should be treated?" "Our Wang family would never dare offend a good friend or noble guest," Wang Zhangqiang replied. "But you have failed the trust from a dying man and pocketed the evil resisting sword manuscript to be your own. That's the act of a thief. The Golden Blade Wang family in Luoyang is an honest family. How can we still treat you like a friend? All 3 generations of your Wang family keep on saying that this is the evil resisting sword manuscript. Have you ever seen the evil resisting sword manuscript before? How are you so sure that this is the evil resisting sword manuscript?" Ling Hucheng challenged. Wang Zhangqiang dazed for a second before replying. "This booklet was found on you, and apprentice brother Yue also confirmed that this is not a martial arts manuscript of the Huashan Sword School. Then how can it not be the evil resisting sword manuscript?" Fuming with anger, Ling Hucheng couldn't help but laugh. "If you claim that this is the evil resisting sword manuscript, then the evil resisting sword manuscript it is. I wish your Golden Blade Wang family will have a wonderful time learning the techniques and master the invincible sword arts. From now on, your Wang family in Luoyang can be called the ultimate blade and sword." Was that not a good laugh? Ha 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 ha. "Nephew Ling Hu," Wang Yuanba said, "please don't take offense on what my grandchildren did to you. Everyone makes mistakes. As long as one will admit his mistake and correct himself, he will still be treated with respect. Since you have already given out the sword art manuscript, just for the sake of your master, I will not investigate any further. Starting from today, no one will ever mention this incident again. Why don't I put your dislocated shoulder and elbow back first?" At that word, he stood up and walked toward Ling Hucheng and reached for Ling Hucheng's left hand. "Hold it! I don't need you to play up to me," Ling Hucheng snapped, taking 2 abrupt steps back. "What playing up to you?" Wang Yuanba was stunned. I'm not a puppet, so you just break my arm when you feel like it and put it back when you change your mind, Ling Huchang growled. He walked a few steps to the left until he was in front of Madame Yue, and then called out, Master Wife. Madame Yue heaved a sigh and then put his dislocated joints back into place. Master Wife, this clearly is a music score booklet for zither and flute. These people of the Wang family are totally illiterate and insist on saying that it is the evil resisting sword manuscript. What a big joke, Ling Hucheng explained. Grandmaster Wang, is it alright if I take a look at this booklet? Madame Yue said to Wang Yuanba. Ah, here you go, Madame Yue. Wang Yuanba handed the book over. Boom! Done. Yeah, that's more like it. That's a shorter chapter than last time. Ha 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 ha. No ha 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 ha. Yeah. Well, the book was written in ancient scripts, so I guess no one can read that stuff. All right. Well, Ling Hushang was like totally depressed and drunk in this chapter, making a fool of himself. Cliffhanger, right? What's gonna happen? No one can read it. Like no one can even read anything. Losh says next chapter is gonna be good. All right. All three generations of this family. They all can't read the book. Chong's emo episode. Yeah, he's so emo in this chapter, man. Like, just get over it, okay? She's just not that into you. Just forget about her, alright? Like, you're a super martial arts master now. You can go get any girl. Okay, just forget about her. You're dying on the left. Can I do a witch laugh? Anyways. Alright. We're good. We're almost done with this. Dun, dun, dun. Alright. Cheers, you guys. Wait, let me change. Cheers. Willa says, am I the only one thinking Madame Yue knows how to read music? Maybe. Do you think she'll save him? No one knows how to read music, apparently. What am I drinking? It's what I've been drinking for all of the streams at the end. The Tennessee whiskey. Jack Daniels. It looks. It is good. It is good. It is good. We're almost finished with it. What should I drink after? What should I drink after this? Yeah. After we finish this, what should I drink for the streams? Let me know. I have tequila. That's really hard though. That's really strong though. It is Fireball. Yes, it is. Yeah. I'm nothing compared to Ling Hu Chong. He can drink, what, 100 bowls of wine? 100 bowls. without like before he gets drunk. Absinthe. Funny. Do, 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 do. Try Chinese wine. Baijiu. You second absinthe? Dihydrogen monoxide. Want me to drink water? I do that every stream. Look, I'm doing that right now. I'm gonna take a shot of water. So it looks like absinthe is the answer. CO2. How do you drink that? The most you ever did was 2 bottles of wine, 2 of whiskey, a beer, and some homemade liquor. Like in one sitting, you had 2 bottles of wine, 2 whiskey, and a beer in one sitting. That's crazy, dude. All right. We're done. All right. I'll see you next week. We left on a cliffhanger, but next chapter should be good. All right, guys. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.